Hi, good morning. This is Dana Diedolf, and I'd like to talk to you today about confusion. Hopefully, you won't be more confused when I finish than when I started. We'll see. I'm here in my office in Astoria, Oregon, looking out at a pretty choppy river this morning. Beautiful, though, sort of kind of really a more blue than gray today. Post-storm, there's some blue sky, and in Astoria, that's good news. And there are two ships anchored out here waiting to go upriver. Anyway, I'm glad to see you. I love working in Astoria, and part of the reason is I meet so many interesting people, and the best thing I ever heard about confusion and how to deal with it, I heard from a fisherman about 5 years ago. We were having a conversation about states of mind and feelings, and just before he told me this, he said he really didn't have any idea how to deal with feelings and actually didn't really much care about them, which I thought he had in common with most of us, actually, most of our lives. Well, if you can't see them, it must not be there. Science has another thing, you know. If you can't test it, it doesn't exist. Oh, sorry. Well, human beings have a tendency toward closing their minds to what they can't see, feel, touch, or manipulate, handle, control, whatever, when we all share that in common. But as it turns out, the fisherman actually knew quite a lot about how to deal with confusion. We were talking about confusion because he said he was pretty confused about something he was trying to figure out. And as I recall, at that period of my life, so was I. So I was really attentive. I have to tell you that most therapists, if they were really truthful, would tell you that one of the greatest benefits of being a therapist is learning while other people think they're learning. Well, anyway, I was learning that day, and we were both looking out at the river, and as it turned out, there was fog sort of coming in on the river, and he said to me, you know, confusion is like being out in those shipping lanes. There are, by the way, shipping lanes. Big ships come in this river, huge tankers. And if you're in the shipping lane in a small boat, well, you'd better get out of the way because they can't stop quickly. And he said so he thought that confusion was like fishing one morning and being in the shipping lanes and having fog come in suddenly and then not knowing whether there was a ship coming or not. And he said what he always did in that situation, the only sane thing to do was to turn off the engine so that you could hear. Oh, and I heard that. That really helped me, you know, because I was busy trying to get out of the confusion. And he said, no, he thought the best thing to do with fog, and who knows, maybe confusion, was to do nothing, to just sit still and listen, because fog usually clears if you don't try to outrun it. Right about that same time, my father was still living, and he and I had been walking on another part of the Columbia River one morning, and we were on the part of the Columbia River that, well, most of it, I guess, cuts off Washington from Oregon and vice versa. That's called a boundary, I guess. Anyway, we were walking on the Washington side, and and we were very close to the shipping lanes there. The river there is very deep, and the shipping lanes cover most of the area of the river there. And all of a sudden, we heard this like engine from a small boat, and let me tell you that the fog was absolutely thick, and it was to the edge of the river, right up to the shore. And funny thing, it wasn't where we were, but it was out on the river. And all of a sudden, up onto the sand came this crazy duck hunter. Well, not all duck hunters, of course, are crazy, but this guy clearly was, and you'll get that. He was dressed in camo, and he had a flat-bottom boat, and he came roaring up onto the sand, and the first thing he did was scream out, "Hey! Am I in Washington or Oregon?" And we said, well, hey man, you're in Washington. And he said, thanks, turned on his engine and headed back out. He didn't have any idea whether there were ships coming, because nobody in that little boat could have heard. And I thought, that guy is just like most of us. I thought about him when the smart fisherman, you know, the one who didn't know anything about how to deal with feelings, when he said the thing to do is to turn off your engine. Listen. Wait. You know, ever since then I've thought about that about 1,000,000 times, and I've been more like the duck hunter a lot of times in my life than that other fisherman. And last night I was feeling really confused about something, and then I thought of the fisherman and the fog, and I thought, why not just wait? Everything that I have ever done to outrun confusion has sent me either right into a ship, metaphorically speaking, or into deeper fog. Confusion, if you look at it differently, if you change your mind about what emotional distress might mean like difficult emotions and experiences, maybe they're like goosebumps on the soul, and if you listen to them, they might tell you a lot. What confusion tells us sometimes, what it tells me when I can remember, is to wait, because fog clears. It clears when you know the conflicting voices inside of you that are trying to get your attention. Sometimes all they can do is create a lot of fog. Anyway, I hope that you have a really good day, and if you're confused, I hope you turn off the engine. I did. I feel a lot better today. Thanks.